Yeah. Analytics off the chain, other channels not the same. Jake and Kyle, you know the name. Headliner Nation, we running the game. I'm a headliner.
What is going on, Headliner Nation? Jake, Fantasy Headliners. Hopefully everybody's doing well out there today, where we're going to be having ourselves one motherfucking banger, because we're talking about quarterbacks here that we're going to start and sit for week 3 fantasy football, and I'm feeling good. I'm feeling feisty. I got my Jamarville shirt on. Shout out ViridianGlobal.com. Awesome fantasy football t-shirts if you're looking for them. Link down below in the description. But before we get into all the matchups, all the players here for week 3, how did we do in week 2? And to be honest, it wasn't great. It was still okay. Out of the 29 quarterbacks that actually completed their games, because everybody and their mother wanted to get hurt this past week, we got 18 of them correct for an accuracy percentage of 62%. Some big misses on some lower level names, right? All of a sudden, Daniel Jones came out and looked like Michael Vick this past week. He was a miss. Kirk Cousins performed against an Arizona defense which just didn't really show up. Taylor Heineke, who was surprised by the play of Taylor Heineke? He came out and balled out. He was a miss as well. A few of the hits, Teddy Two Gloves for the Denver Broncos came out and absolutely put on a show. Sam Darnold. I will continue to talk about Sam Darnold because everybody has ignored me when I talk about Sam Darnold for months. And then Aaron Rodgers. Is he really that big of a hit? No. But so many people just wrote Aaron Rodgers off and said he wasn't trying, he'd given up, he didn't care, his heart wasn't in it. Yes, it was. He came out and put up a good game and had himself a solid week 2. But now we got to get you all set up for our giveaway here in September. You've heard about it all month long, and the month is coming to an end here quicker than you want to admit it. So make sure you head over to prizepicks.com or download the Prize Picks app, because right now we're giving away an autographed Justin Jefferson jersey, a Manscaped Perfect Package 4.0, and a Trevor Lawrence rookie card. All you got to do, sign up for a new Prize Picks account and use the referral code HEADLINERS when you do so. Make your initial $20 deposit minimum. They'll match your deposit all the way up to $100, and then you're automatically entered into a chance at winning this bundle giveaway. Looking forward to doing that at the end of the month, but now is the time that we start talking about them ball throwers. Who can we start and who can we sit in week 3? We're going to kick it off Thursday Night Football with the Carolina Panthers and Houston Texans. Which is perfect because I get another opportunity to talk about Sam Darnold. Like I said, I have been for months. I've listed him as sleepers. I had him in the draft guide as a breakout candidate. I was not off the Sam Darnold bandwagon, and this is exactly why. He's away from Adam Gase. He has offensive weapons, and he really looks comfortable, averaging right around 20 fantasy points per game. And with the weapons at his disposal on a weekly basis, the guy could do this basically every single week. Houston is allowing right now 260 yards passing and 2 touchdowns per game to opposing quarterbacks. Can this game stay close? That's the biggest question. The Carolina defense, one of the tops in the league. But for right now, you better believe it, I'm keeping Sam Darnold in the start column. For Houston, no Tyrod Taylor. Can we really trust Davis Mills in week 3 of fantasy football? Lord, I hope not. Please tell me you are not reliant on Davis Mills in week 3 of fantasy football. But what I will do is head over to Prize Picks, and I'm going to smash the under on Davis Mills, who's currently set at 209.5 passing yards. Like I just mentioned, this defense in Carolina, one of the best overall defenses, whether it's against the run or the pass in the NFL. It's going to be a tough start here for Davis Mills, so I'm going to smash the under on Prize Picks. Now, he looked good at times last week, right? But he's still a rookie. He's still young. He's going to make mistakes. And against this defense, it's not worth it. They're only allowing 140 yards passing and 1 touchdown per game. We're sitting Davis Mills. Which will take us to Sunday football now, the Washington football team, Buffalo Bills, and who was surprised by Taylor Heineke's week 2 performance? I'll be the first to admit I was surprised. The guy went out there and played great. He threw 46 times and ended up with 328 yards passing and 2 touchdowns to only 1 interception. Overall, great game for him starting, but man, going up against Buffalo, it's not going to be easy, especially on the road in Buffalo. As of right now, Buffalo has the number 2 ranked pass defense in the NFL, allowing only 160 yards passing per game. In fact, they've only allowed 1 passing touchdown total combined in the first 2 weeks of this season. Too much going against him, too many other better options. I'm going to sit Taylor Heinicke here this week, but hey, I'm fine if he goes out there and does well. I love to see guys like that succeed. Just going to be an uphill battle for him this week. As for Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, you never sit Josh Allen on the Buffalo Bills. I mean, now we have a team that has gained some momentum, gained some confidence. Remember that word confidence. We're going to talk about it a few times in this episode. A team with confidence is a team that is very dangerous in the NFL, and they just went out and shellacked the Miami Dolphins 35-0. What we really need here is the Washington defense to kind of step it up a little bit just so this game stays close enough that we get Josh Allen throwing the ball down the field all 4 quarters. We saw Daniel Jones, take advantage of this Washington defense on the ground. Could we see the same thing for Josh Allen? That would only boost the ceiling. Going to be a start for me in week 3. On to Chicago and Cleveland here, and do we see our first ever full-time start for Justin Fields where he plays the entire game? I think we do, because Andy Dalton is in jeopardy of missing this game with a bone bruise to his knee. Now, they've already come out and said that if he's healthy, he's the starter. But I don't think he's going to be healthy enough to start in this game. I think we see Justin Fields for the first time here in a full game. But going up against Cleveland, not exactly what I would be hoping for there for Justin Fields. That pass rush could cause turnovers from a rookie quarterback in a heartbeat. Forced throws, errant throws into a secondary that can make big plays. That worries me for Justin Fields. Not exactly how I would like to have him start his full-time starting career here in the NFL. So he's going to be a sit for me this week. Plus, at times, looked a little bit lost last week. I mean, he's still a rookie, though. Don't give up on Justin Fields. The talent is huge. As for Baker Mayfield, another solid week last week, right? Kind of what we've come to expect from Baker Mayfield. The game manager, Baker Mayfield. He's so much better in that role because he's not being asked to do everything himself. But now, losing Jarvis Landry, who's been placed on IR, going to make him a little bit more dependent on some big plays, some deep balls down the field at times, plus a lot riding on the running backs in the backfield. Kareem Hunt, even Demetric Felton making some plays out there. Can them, combined with Nick Chubb, make some plays that really help boost the floor of Baker Mayfield. It's a run-first team going up against Chicago. I expect them to rely heavily on the run, which could decrease that touchdown upside some since we're counting on big plays. So I'm going to go ahead and sit Baker Mayfield this week until we see what this offense looks like without Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham. Which takes us to Baltimore and Detroit. And basically we saw Lamar Jackson take over last week, right? Everything he needed to do to get the win, he made it happen. And honestly, he needs to do that every single week. As much as I wish he had more options around him to kind of burden that load, I'm sorry, he doesn't. Lamar Jackson needs to step it up on a weekly basis, both with his legs and whatever he can get in his arm. Perfect matchup for him to do it again and gain some momentum this week against the Detroit Lions, who we just saw picked apart, not only on the ground, but through the air by the Green Bay Packers. Lamar Jackson is not a bad passing quarterback. He's an inconsistent passing quarterback. The big plays are there, though, and what he can do with his feet makes him an automatic start every single week. As for Detroit and Jared Goff, I mean, the dude hasn't been half bad, right? I'm actually surprised. I came into the season bashing Jared Goff, and not so much for the talent of Jared Goff. It was the lack of talent around him. The guy's got like Quintez Cephas outside of TJ Hawkinson. And then it's just DeAndre Swift, Jamal Williams, a bunch of guys you've probably never even heard of, Amon-Ra St. Brown. It's just a cluster. But yet the guy's going out there on a weekly basis, throwing the ball a ton, racking up garbage points, finding the end zone. It's just not enough for me to feel comfortable going up against the Baltimore Ravens when we know the Ravens want to control the clock every single game in an NFL season. On the ground with Tyson Williams, Latavius Murray. May we see some more Devonta Freeman, and we know Lamar Jackson's going to run as well. Continuing the clock running is going to limit the scoring opportunities for Jared Goff, and once again, he's going to remain a sit for me here this week. Which takes us to Indianapolis and Tennessee, and another injured quarterback here in Indianapolis with Carson Wentz, suffering from like a double ankle sprain. I heard he sprained both ankles on the same play. That's borderline impressive, if you ask me. But what do we do going forward? Because it's a great matchup going up against the Tennessee Titans, who allow points in bunches to opposing quarterbacks. They love giving up the deep ball, and quarterbacks on average get 300 yards passing and 3 touchdowns against this Tennessee defense. But Carson Wentz not being 100% may not even play. Do we want to trust Jacob Eason in week 3 of fantasy football? Probably not. I hate to miss out on this matchup, but if Carson Wentz isn't healthy and 100%, I'm not going to trust Jacob Eason just yet in one quarterback leagues. Hate to miss it, but I'm going to have to pass. As for Tannehill and the Tennessee Titans, So many people are worried about Ryan Tannehill. Don't worry yet. We saw it last week. Tennessee kind of got back to their identity, right? Pounding the ball on the ground with Derrick Henry to open up passing lanes. They just missed out on a Julio Jones touchdown, which honestly kind of looked like he was inbounds by a hair. Super close, though. That would have helped Tannehill, get over the hump a little bit, make people a little bit less nervous. Don't worry, though. The passing game is being opened by the efficiency and the usage, the sheer volume of Derrick Henry. Defenders have to come into the box. That'll open up more one-on-one matchups on the outside with A.J. Brown and Julio Jones. Don't panic just yet. I'm going to go ahead and start Ryan Tannehill here this week against the Indianapolis Colts in hopes that they can build off that momentum from week 2 and continue it going forward and help boost that floor on a weekly basis of Ryan Tannehill. Which takes us to the Chargers and Chiefs now, and you're going to start Patrick Mahomes. You're not watching this video to figure out if you need to or not, but don't be fooled. This is not an easy matchup for Patrick Mahomes. The Chargers defense is pretty legit, and they're only allowing 175 yards passing per game so far to start the season. That could lower the ceiling of Patrick Mahomes, but the floor is so freaking high, you don't have to worry about it. But we also want Justin Herbert to kind of kick it up a notch, right? We need him to get going as well. Well, the passing volume is there. The yardage is there. We're just not seeing the touchdowns as of yet, right? But there's no solid run game that's going to take away that passing volume. They're going to pass a lot on a weekly basis. Plus, the insurgence of Mike Williams in this passing offense is going to give him more big play touchdown possibilities there in the red zone as well. I'm not overly worried about Justin Herbert just yet. Going up against the Kansas City Chiefs in a game in which they could have a shootout going back and forth, throwing the ball all 4 quarters, I'm going to fire up Herbert again here in week 3. Over to New Orleans and New England. And have you ever seen the movie Old School, where they're in that debate and Will Ferrell blacks out and doesn't know what's going on and then answers some crazy question? That's kind of what happened to Jameis Winston this past week, but in a bad way. Dude kind of just blacked out and reverted to old school Tampa Bay days, where he's out there just flinging balls everywhere, mostly to the wrong team. He went out and had 3 interceptions this past week, and he's already not getting a lot of volume anyway. They're only throwing the ball between 20 and 25 times a game. Add in 3 interceptions, it's not what you want to see. At one point, he even just flung the ball. I don't even think he was looking. He just threw it towards the end zone. Maybe he had a brain fart. Maybe he forgot that he didn't have Mike Evans down there to win a jump ball. Whatever it is, it looked bad. Now, going forward, we've kind of seen a tale of 2 weeks from Jameis, right? Super efficient, great play week 1. Week 2, not good at all. Do we start to see maybe a little bit more Taysom Hill if the struggles continue for Jameis Winston? I think we probably do. Until we see more consistency in this offense, though, I can't trust it. Jameis Winston can go out there and get you 30. He can also go out there and get you 3. And that's a bad, metric to kind of guess on every single week. So I'm going to sit Jameis Winston until we get a little bit more clarity and more consistency. As for New England, I like Mac Jones. I don't think he's playing that bad. He just has no ceiling, right? He doesn't have those big playmakers, and he doesn't have that touchdown upside on a weekly basis. Majority of their touchdowns are going to come on the ground in this offense, and that's just going to limit his upside. But don't get me wrong. I like what I'm seeing from Mac Jones. As they release more and more and more of this playbook, and he gets more playmakers in this offense, the guy could be pretty dang good, but as of right now, the ceiling's just not there, and he's not startable quite yet in fantasy football. Over to Atlanta and the New York Giants, and Daniel Vick is what I'm going to call him from now on, was out there running like Forrest Gump in week 2. Dude just kept running because he had a great game against the Washington football team, 249 yards passing, 95 yards rushing on the ground against Washington. That's kind of hard to believe, right? I know at one point last year he was clocked as the world's fastest man before he tripped over that invisible sprinkler head, but the guy is actually playing pretty good football. Now, do I expect him to run that much every single week? No, I don't. As Saquon gets healthier and healthier, which I believe starts this week, they give him more and more of that rushing volume, and we see it kind of come away from Daniel Jones. But if the running game is successful, that will open up the passing game. And with Sterling Shepard, hopefully they can get Kenny Golladay involved. I think the floor becomes pretty safe here for Daniel Jones. Now, sure, he'll still have the occasional rush, the scramble outside the pocket to pick up a few yards to help that safe floor, but Atlanta has allowed 8 passing touchdowns in the last 2 weeks. I'm going to start Daniel Jones against the Atlanta Falcons. As for Atlanta and Matt Ryan, this offense just seems lost, doesn't it? It'll look good for one drive, and then it comes out the next possession, and it's like it's never played organized football ever. And I just don't understand it. They're having trouble getting the ball consistently to Kyle Pitts, consistently to Calvin Ridley. Now all of a sudden they're utilizing Cordero Patterson because they can't figure out how to run the football. It's just up and down, very inconsistent. Matt Ryan has a high ceiling, but the floor is also super low, and it's not something I'm risking here in week 3. He's going to be a sit against the New York Giants. All right, on to the divisional matchup. Cincinnati Bengals, Pittsburgh Steelers. Two teams just absolutely stacked with receiving talent, right? On Cincinnati, we know about Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. Pittsburgh, is Deontay Johnson limited at all? Does he miss? Does he play this week? If not, does that mean more Chase Claypool? They still have Juju Smith-Schuster, James Washington, Najee Harris in the backfield, plenty of options. But by playing at home, where Ben always excels, and maybe we do see a little bit less Deontay Johnson, more Chase Claypool, that opens ourselves up for potentially a higher ceiling because of the big playability of Chase Claypool. I actually don't mind Big Ben in a matchup this week, in which I expect Joe Burrow and the Bengals to put a couple points up on the board, which means Pittsburgh's not going to be out there in a blowout relying on the run. They're going to have to throw it as well. I have no issue starting either one of these guys this week. Typically in this division, it's a hard-hitting, game on the ground. I don't see that with these two teams. They are too stacked on the outside that I can't see this game going by and having them not utilize all the weapons on the outside of the field and boosting that touchdown upside for both of these guys in this divisional matchup. Honestly, no issue starting either one of them, Burrow or Ben, both in the start column. On to Arizona and Jacksonville, and Kyler Murray, in my opinion, is the NFL MVP through 2 weeks. Now, sure, Tom Brady may be close, but right now, Kyler Murray is everything that people want Lamar Jackson to be, right? The rushing upside, the big playability, the big arm, the deep balls down the field, everything. Kyler Murray is doing it for the Arizona Cardinals. Now, sure, he's got a lot of weapons around him. We saw A.J. Green make an appearance. We see Rondale Moore getting more involved in this offense. We know about DeAndre Hopkins, tons and tons of weapons there in Arizona. He has 9 touchdowns in the first 2 weeks of the season, and now he gets a matchup against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Hell yeah, absolutely smash it. Gonna start Kyler Murray. As for Trevor Lawrence, we know this. They're going to be losing almost weekly in Jacksonville, which means they're going to be throwing the ball a lot. Now, the Arizona defense, kind of a tale of 2 weeks, right? Looked impenetrable week 1, looked horrible in week 2. Kirk Cousins just sliced them apart with DJ Chark, Laviska Shenault, Marvin Jones Jr. I think he's going to have an opportunity for a few big plays against this secondary in Arizona. Right now, the Cardinals allow right around 200 yards passing and 2 touchdowns per game. And we saw Cousins just do it against him last week, right? Trevor Lawrence is going to have some mistakes, but due to the passing volume he could see this week, he's going to be a start for me here in week 3. Jets and Broncos, and Teddy Two Gloves had himself a ball game last week, right? 328 yards passing, 2 touchdowns against that lowly Jags defense that we just talked about. Cortland Sutton, Noah Fant, Tim Patrick, all producing in this offense, and they still have more weapons with KJ Hamler, Melvin Gordon, Javonte Williams. I mean, the Jags passed one of the worst in the NFL. They're allowing almost 300 yards passing and 2 touchdowns per game, which means I'm heading over to Prize Picks, and I'm going to smash the over on Teddy Two Gloves this week, which is set at 255.5. Yes, sign me up for that on Prize Picks. He's protecting the ball, no interceptions so far, and he's completing right around 77% of his passes. Teddy Two Gloves is going to be starting here against the Jets. As for Zach Wilson and the Jets, I still like this kid. He's going to be good. Last week was not good. He did not do well last week, but I'm not completely writing him off. Don't forget, in a rookie year, you're going to have games like that where you just don't look good at all. We've seen Trevor Lawrence do the same type of thing. We've seen Justin Fields look lost at times. It's not like it's just Zach Wilson. Remember, he's with the Jets. It's going to take a long time to kind of change that culture. Not going to happen overnight. The struggles will happen at times, but we're also seeing flashes of some big play potential with him in this offense. Going to be a sit this week in a difficult matchup for me, though, against the Denver Broncos. Miami and Las Vegas now. No Tua, probably for Miami, which means Jacoby Brissett. Hopefully you're not reliant on Jacoby Brissett in week 3 of fantasy football either. Nothing against him. I think he's a solid backup. It's just way too early, and that Las Vegas defense is very underrated. Sure, they get Will Fuller back, but to be honest, there's so many other better options out there. I'm not going to waste it on Jacoby Brissett here this week. For the Raiders, Has there been any other channel on YouTube that has supported Derek Carr more than us? Now, we've had him a little lower in the rankings here the past few weeks because, honestly, on paper, the guy had no weapons. He hasn't had weapons in years. All we really saw was Darren Waller and a smidge of Bryan Edwards, but we didn't know if they could get him involved. Same thing with Henry Ruggs. Could they find a way to get him involved? Well, they're starting to figure it out, and they're starting to look a lot better. And because of that, Derek Carr's numbers are going through the roof. It doesn't matter if he has a lack of weapons. Apparently, it just doesn't matter in Las Vegas. They're finding ways to win. Plus, there's no run game right now, right? No Josh Jacobs. He's injured. Kenyon Drake and Peyton Barber, they ain't doing jack squat on the ground. Right now, Derek Carr, QB9 overall in fantasy football, and Miami just got throttled by the Buffalo Bills. Does that mean that Derek Carr does the same? No, but I'm going to stop doubting his lack of weapons and trust what our eyes are seeing and start Derek Carr in week 3. Now, Tampa Bay and the Los Angeles Rams, our Manscaped matchup of the week. Don't forget, as soon as this show is over, head over to manscaped.com, our partners here on the year. Get yourself something other than a ball shaver. They got more than that. Dude, the Weed Whacker is legit, fellas. Trust me, but head over there after this show. Use promo code HEADLINERS at checkout. Get yourself 20% off and free shipping. Don't miss out on that. But I'm loving what I see in this matchup, right? We got Tom Brady and Matthew Stafford. Two teams right now not overly reliant on the run, right? Really can't get anything going in Tampa Bay. And Darrell Henderson is banged up and may miss this ball game. Both these teams, pretty solid defenses. But with the offensive firepower on both sides here, I will not be surprised if this doesn't turn into a shootout. And both these quarterbacks have big games. No issue starting either Matthew Stafford or Thomas the Goat Brady here this week. Which takes us to Seattle and Minnesota, another matchup of two top 10 quarterbacks right here. I mean, you got Russ and the deep balls just going down the field left and right. I mean, Russ's balls, they're just deep and accurate at this point. Cousins, he's got playmakers at all levels, right? We've seen KJ Osborne be a thing. We know about Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen still catching touchdowns. Obviously, these are two teams that are going to be reliant on throwing the ball on a weekly basis. We know Dalvin Cook is banged up. We know Chris Carson isn't being overly efficient on the ground and isn't getting huge volume. And that's because the passing game on both sides are really working. Now, obviously, Dalvin Cook in the passing game is going to raise that floor for Kirk Cousins. But if he's not there, look for a lot more short routes going down the field to Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson. No issue starting either one of these guys. They both have big playmakers. They both have safe floors. I'm starting both Cousins and Wilson. Now, Green Bay and San Francisco, and so many people were worried about Aaron Rodgers. I heard everything from the guy's given up, the guy's not mentally checked in, he doesn't care anymore. And then all of a sudden, we saw that offense just kind of click in the second half of this year. They started getting really confident. Deep balls to Devontae Adams. Randall Cobb was getting targets. Big Bob Tunyon finding the way into the end zone. Aaron Jones unstoppable. The cockiness, the confidence started to come back out in the Packers. And now they get a matchup going up against the San Francisco 49ers, who allow 26 fantasy points per game to opposing quarterbacks. When this offense gets confident, they get dangerous. At this point, they're starting to fire on all cylinders, and you're for sure starting Aaron Rodgers on a weekly basis. As for Jimmy G, I really want to start him. I really do, but I can't. In the NFL, teams thrive off of momentum, right? When the defense is playing great, it picks up the offense. When the offense is playing great, it picks up the defense. And that's exactly what we saw this past week. The Green Bay defense stepped it up second half of the ball game. A lot of people were bagging on Aaron Rodgers and really weren't bagging on the defense. The defense hadn't played great either, but all of a sudden, with that confidence, with that cockiness, they started to play a lot better. Confidence is very contagious, right? When you see somebody else on your team with a bunch of confidence, it makes you more confident, right? And that's exactly what's happening here in Green Bay. They needed that Detroit game to get back on track, and that's exactly what happened. As for Jimmy G, though, I just can't. I want to, but there's no way he's running the ball 11 times a game. He'll be injured in like a week and a half. They just can't do that as of right now. There's no running game. All their running backs are hurt. All they're going to do is pressure Jimmy G and make him force, the ball down the field and hope for some interceptions and some turnovers. In my opinion, there's just better options this week than Jimmy G. Like Jimmy G, it's just not the week for me to test fate here. I'm going to sit him. And then we end it with Monday Night Football, Philadelphia Eagles, Dallas Cowboys, and no question here, right? On Monday night, we're starting both these guys. For Jalen Hurts, his rushing upside alone makes him a safe play. Plus, Dallas allows 23 fantasy points per game to opposing quarterbacks, and the pass-catching running backs out of the backfield only help his floor on a weekly basis. Now, for Dak, Yeah, a down week 2 for him, right? And with no touchdowns. That's the biggest thing. No touchdowns. And now Amari Cooper is banged up. What does that mean? Well, more involvement from the tight ends, both Jarwin and Schultz. Probably same usage of Tony Pollard and Zeke Elliott. Do we see a whole lot more CeeDee Lamb? What about Cedric Wilson? A lot of other names in this offense that can still provide that firepower for Dak to have a decent ceiling. Is it the 400 yards passing and 4 touchdown ceiling for Dak? No. Probably not. But is it the 275 and 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns? Potentially. And that's why, once again, can't afford to sit Dak Prescott in a divisional matchup here against the Eagles. He's going to be a start. All right, those are my starts and sits for the quarterback position here, week 3 fantasy football. Let me know what you think down below in the comment section, and do me a favor, hit that like button if you could. It greatly helps us out here on YouTube. Plus, last chance, September is coming to an end. This month has flown by. Get in on this giveaway with Prize Picks. There's a link down below in the description, but you go over there to Prize Picks, set up a new account, use the referral code Headliners, make that minimum $20 deposit. We'll match the $20. Heck, they'll match up to a $100 deposit if that's what you make. You can have some fun making some picks with us this year. Plus, you'll be entered into that huge Justin Jefferson giveaway, along with a Manscaped Perfect Package 4.0 and a Trevor Lawrence rookie card. Looking forward to giving that away here in the next week and a half or so. But for now, hopefully you have a great rest of your day, a great week, and we'll talk to you later.